Ever since Bitcoin broke out over 10,000, things have been looking pretty bullish for the king of crypto. The last few weeks of price action, we've managed to really rekindle the market's just kind of affection and love for the leading cryptocurrency. And, this idea, this new run at a new all-time high is certainly firm on everyone's radar. But we have had a sharp pullback to below 12,000. That's shaken out a few of the Bitcoin faithful. And some are worried about the assault on 14,000 and has the bull run been called off? 2 red candles and we've called off the run. So today, I want to bring you guys a bit of comfort food for thought on why Bitcoin's fundamentals are long-term bullish, why we are still macro bullish, even if we have a correction, even if we have a pullback, and strong sentiment are still very much in play. And this week's correction could turn out to be a very, very good buy the dip opportunity. So let's take a look at the first article that we were able to find today. This is coming from Cointelegraph on why a critical mass of long-term hodlers would make the concept of 100,000 Bitcoin inevitable in the long run, even though the dollar is going to go to zero. But anyways, this piece is based on a recent tweet from Michael Goldstein. He's a pretty old school Bitcoin bull, very active in the community, in which he pointed out that most Bitcoin that is out there in circulation today is already priced at $100,000 or as much as $10 million even. Okay, so let's go to his tweet. If that sounds crazy, let's break this down. Okay, so stay with me here. According to this crypto commenter, who goes by the name Bitstein, follow this guy on Twitter, he's good. Determining Bitcoin's real value is more complicated than just a cursory glance at the current market price. So this tweet reads that, quote, most Bitcoins already cost at least 100,000, but probably more like 10 million. So while Bitcoin is hanging out to dry below $12,000, many hodlers and Bitcoin bulls have their sights set much higher. As Bitstein points out, if someone buys a Bitcoin at $10,000, but is unwilling to sell it until the asset reaches $100,000, then the price tag of that Bitcoin is naturally much higher than its current market value. It's never going to be sold unless that price is met. So this begs the question, right? How many Bitcoin are stashed away right now, that's never going to see the light of day until at least the $100,000 price level, right? This would have an interesting effect on supply and demand, which affects market price. Late last year, the blockchain analytics firm Rhythm published this tweet, and they pointed out how much of the Bitcoin in circulating supply is effectively locked away. It is not being moved, sold, or traded. Indeed, their updated analysis showed that 64% of Bitcoin's circulating supply remains in the same wallets that it's been in since 2018, and highlights the dedicated nature of investors who are not going to sell under any circumstances until the price appreciates to moon landing levels of mission success. If you think Link holders have strong hands, buddy. Bitcoin baby. Now, Goldstein, aka Bitstein, he insisted that many of Bitcoin's largest bag holders value the asset between $100,000 and $10 million per Bitcoin. And these sort of valuations are very much in line with a variety of popular price predictions from various authorities over the years, such as Plan B's stock to flow model that puts Bitcoin's price tag at 6 figures by the middle of this decade. And as speculative and daydreamy as this may sound, we have to acknowledge how many among the Bitcoin faithful, including us here on the show and those in our community, are convinced we are taking Bitcoin to new all-time highs soon. And eventually, even $1 million of Bitcoin is very much a valuation that is on the mind of those whose imagination has been captured by the promise of cryptocurrency technology. And we have a number of high-profile cheerleaders in the space that help propagate this bullish narrative. And this includes the likes of Max Kaiser, famous Bitcoiner and sound money advocate. Back on March 5th, he talked about, he predicted that Bitcoin is going to explode to $100,000 by the end of the year. And that was based on the knock-on effects of the COVID pandemic and related stimulus measures. Of course, the money printer go burr, shall we say. And there's a number of other notable personalities across the industry who predicted a $100,000 Bitcoin at some point. These include Morgan Creek Digital's co-founder Anthony Pompliano, the Bitcoin stock to flow model creator Plan B, and even the Blockstream CEO Adam Back, among many others. And all individuals that are not dummies. Now, I want to take a look at this next article, which highlights some of Glassnode's latest research into on-exchange deposits of Bitcoin. Now, slightly more than 2.6 million Bitcoin is currently being held on cryptocurrency exchanges. This, again, according to Glassnode's data, which they cite in this recent tweet. Bitcoin held on deposit at centralized exchanges has been steadily declining since March. And they've recently hit their lowest levels since at least November 2019. Now, Bitcoin hodlers typically send or hold their Bitcoin on exchanges in order to convert it into volatility-free stablecoins, such as Tether, or get into altcoins in pursuit of larger gains to eventually move back into Bitcoin. But according to Glassnodes, they found that historically, Bitcoin's price takes a hit when the number of coins kept on exchange wallets reaches new highs. This makes sense. You don't send your Bitcoin to an exchange to buy, right? You send your Bitcoin to an exchange to sell it for something. So if Bitcoin is flowing out of exchanges, not a whole lot of selling. With Bitcoin being continually withdrawn from these exchange platforms, it hints that bag holders are strapping in for the long term. I certainly am. And we're preparing for an inevitable blast off in the price to come. Maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's next month, maybe it's the end of the year. But previous peaks in exchange deposits happen to coincide with big corrections in Bitcoin's price. Glassnodes highlights July 2019, when exchange deposits hit a high of 2.85 million coins. And it preceded a 41% decline in Bitcoin's price over the next 2 months. You guys remember July 2019. Whoop, boom. Now, breakout rejection. And earlier this year, a similar scenario played out immediately ahead of the Black Thursday market meltdown. Exchange deposits climbed to 2.9 million Bitcoin before Bitcoin dumped 51% over a period of 24 hours. So even though this particular case was primarily driven by the market-shaking black swan event known as the coronavirus, it does demonstrate how there can be a correlation between holding sentiment, what's sitting on exchanges, and what price will set up to do next. Still, if you thought all this Bitcoin being held off exchanges means that there's less activity as a whole on the Bitcoin network, you would be mistaken. At the same time that Bitcoin users are withdrawing their holdings from exchange platforms, the number of active Bitcoin wallets has continued to climb to a new yearly high, averaging more than 1 million active addresses per day. So investors are still stacking and moving their Bitcoin around on the regular. They're just doing it without involving the custody of centralized exchanges, which is a good trend for our industry. It's a very good trend for our industry. So we do have this article right here that points out the Google Trends data. And this indicates that there is a massive increase in cryptocurrency specific searches on Google. Terms like buy crypto, buy Bitcoin, buy Chainlink, and DeFi. A review of Google Trends data shows that over the last 2 weeks alone, search volumes for some of these terms have downright exploded. Like, for real. Let's go look at some of these charts. The buy Bitcoin query dropped off sharply after the halving event in May, but the latest Google Trends data shows that it has picked up dramatically again in late July. So we did see a little bit of a drop in interest, but they've exploded. Finally, I want to talk about an article that Bloomberg's research arm put out. Mike McGlone, senior commodity strategist, he works at Bloomberg's intelligence. He had some reassuring words for us in the Bitcoin community. This week's price pullback, be damned, he said. He says it would take something unexpected to stop the juggernaut that is Bitcoin, since demand for and adoption of Bitcoin has kept growing for a decade now, while Bitcoin's supply is limited to 21 million coins. It's hard to get stronger words than that, guys. And if you needed a reminder why Bitcoin is the killer 21st century asset to hold, or a quick reference when someone asks you over Sunday dinner why you invest in Bitcoin, well, there is a tweet from the VanEck strategist and analyst, Gabor Gurbax. You guys should be familiar with him. And he lists that Bitcoin has some amazing critical attributes. It is not issued by a sovereign. The trust utilizing it is minimalized. It has a scarce and limited supply. It's censorship resistant. It's electronic. It's programmable. It's immutable. And it's portable. It's also open source, pseudonymous, peer-to-peer, decentralized, hard to confiscate properties for a better form of money that we haven't seen before. So if you guys needed a booster shot, a little bit of Bitcoin hopium, there you go. At the end of the day, listen, technical trader, we're going to follow the trends. We're going to make the best strategic decisions that we can. But I will be the first person to tell you this. Buy and hold Bitcoin. It has been the best long-term strategy, period. If you want to get those huge gains, the big numbers, you get those from investment, right? If you want to make money now and earn a living as a free man, you can be a trader. And we're very good at teaching you how to do that. But if you want to cross the finish line, if you want to get those ridiculous crypto gains, you got to buy and hold. You got to sit on your hands. You got to think long-term. You got to think strategic, right? I've been doing this for a long time, and I have more faith, more confidence, more conviction in my decision to invest, to buy into, to accept and adopt Bitcoin than I did when I started.